Carrie Ann Stout, founder and CEO of Vinco Bar Exam Coaching, and welcome to Vlogmas Day 14, Bar Prep, but make it festive. Today we are doing a question and answer, a Q&A, if you will, with one of our former students, Roxy. She's amazing. She's got the best vibe, the best energy. You're going to love hearing from her. And I know that she's going to have some great advice for you. But let's get this out of the way. Here's today's t-shirt and grandma sweater. This is actually grandpa sweater. This was my grandpa sweater, but we have our little Stitch Santa. I've got a few of these. So go ahead and make sure you have something to take notes with because you're definitely not going to want to miss out on this discussion. All right, everyone. I'm so excited to be here with our friend and former student and hopefully future coach. We're working on it, Roxy. And we're just going to chat about her bar exam experience, get some bar exam advice from her. So Roxy, thank you so much for taking some time to chat with me today.
Hi, Carrie.
No, I'm so happy to see you. I got particularly in 2020 when I see no one and do nothing, but I swear I just do these videos so I can catch up with you guys because I miss you all so much. So we're going to just dive right in, right?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your bar prep journey up until, we'll talk about Vinco in a little bit, but up until your experience with Vinco, what was your bar exam journey like?
So prior to finding out about Vinco, which was an incredible find, I must say, I had not understood the way to study that met my needs as a student. I thought that following I'm not going to say the name of the test prep company that I used out of respect for them. Following the test prep company that I utilized, I just kept, I had to retake the bar exam 3 times. And the first 2 times I did to the 9, what I thought was to the 9, their outline and their guideline. And it was after, after having to see my score the second time, and I was very close, as a lot of us are, I realized I must be missing something. And then I was on a subway on the way home.
The best story. You have to tell this story.
I was on the subway crying on my way home. This is before the results came out. And I found out, I think it was October, right after I took it. And in walks Dora, one of my former law school mentors. And she goes, and she's just glowing. And she comes in with her girl boss outfit. And I look at her and I go, hi. And she goes, Roxy, oh my gosh, what's going on? And I said, I just retook the bar exam. I think I failed. I don't know if you have any advice or know anyone. She goes, I had to retake the bar exam. And she goes, do you have a tutor? And I said, well, why? I don't know. Do people hire tutors? And she goes, yeah, I work for this company. This is when you have to have faith in the universe, people. They're known as Vinco Bar Prep. Reach out to Carrie Ann. And that day before my score came out, I emailed Carrie Ann info@Vinco Prep.
Yeah.
And I said, hi, I don't know if I passed or failed, but I want to hire you guys if I failed because.
And I was like, pump the brakes. Let's get your results back first.
And I said, no, I failed. And you were like, why don't you wait and find out? I said, no, can we talk about study plans? And this is when I realized that you have to believe in yourself a lot more than you really should not assume you failed. Cause that's just gonna.
First piece of advice. Don't automatically assume that you failed. But that's not even the most random way that Dora found a student to work with us. Actually, believe it or not, she was when she was studying for the bar exam before she passed, she was at a random coffee shop and there was a girl across the coffee shop who was studying for the bar exam. And they were like, are you studying? I'm studying for the bar exam. Are you studying? Yeah. They did the thing. Right. And then the girl's like, oh, what bar prep company are you using? And she's like, oh, well, I have a coach. And she was like, I want a coach. And then that girl hired me. This was yeah.
It's amazing.
So when I talk about people don't believe me when I say I don't do any paid advertising. This is how people find us and get connected to us through like their networks or whatever. And you're also not the only student to become a Vinco student because they ran into someone on the train. That has happened to Adam, Coach Adam, who is responsible for bringing most of our students to us, has sent not one but two people here who he ran into on the subway. So
That's
what
your
are the
market
odds?
playground.
Yeah.
The New York City transit system.
Right? It's crazy. So
you should be paying them.
I have another question for you. When you were looking into getting some help, right? So I know you like ran into Dora, you talked to Dora about Vinco specifically, but did you do other research? Did you interview other coaches or tutors? Did you look into other things, or were you just like, that's
No.
it?
I was at, I don't mean to be TMI, I was just at a point where I didn't want to question the universe at all. It depends on your personality, but it's not often that happens. So I really put my faith in my friendships. Like I had faith in Dora and her energy that she was radiating. Like this is something that this will help you. And why I didn't want to challenge that. And I didn't look to me, Vinco Bar Prep was the only bar prep company that was like it. And I don't even know if there's any other ones. Excuse me. I live on a very busy street.
No, life goes on even when we're recording.
But well, I only researched, I typed in Vinco on the internet, emailed you, and that was the end of it.
And that was it. Well, and I think like when it comes from a recommendation like that, so like there's kind of different categories of people, right? There are people who are like, I need someone, and like they've come to that realization on their own, and so they're out there looking, right? And maybe they're calling different people and looking for different people. And then there's people who are like, I failed, I don't know what to do, and somebody who's connected with us is like, oh, this is what I use to help, or I know Carrie Ann, or I know one of the coaches, and so like you kind of fall into that bucket. So when we had our consult and we talked about stuff, like what was important to you? What things, did you want to know about that we did, and what kind of help were you looking for at that point?
Mm-hmm. So I remember going in, like, how involved were you guys going to be? Because I was so scared.
All up in your life involved?
And I was like, I can't do this alone. Like, I need someone with me. And you said, well, you're going to have a coach who, it depends on your plan, but it's like our base plan is very interactive. I don't remember which plan I got. I think the middle plan,
yeah,
which was more interactive than I could have ever wished for. It was almost like, I was like my coach was my significant other at a certain point.
You two were a really good match, if I do say so myself.
Honestly, but it was like not at any point, and this is what I want to make clear, it's not a friendship. It's not like you're my best friend. It's actually someone, I don't know if you're friends with your coach when you played a sport. If you played a sport, I wasn't. I was kind of afraid of my coach. I was afraid of Sydney at times. She maintained this level of like, you have to understand that I'm watching you, I'm holding you accountable, but also she was very real. So this is what I wanted to, why I brought up in my consult with you is, am I going to be like doing a lot of this on my own? And anybody would be, the whole bar studying process you're doing on your own. Nobody can insert the information into your brain.
Right.
The thing that I liked about having a coach was that, and the software that you guys used, is that I got to work with Sydney specifically on areas that I was struggling in. And that's what I didn't even understand you had to master. Like I didn't even comprehend that there's certain aspects of each subject on the bar exam that are tested more than others. And if you are weak in those areas, you will most likely fail the bar exam. There's certain subjects that you just get caught, like Sydney. And that's the thing that I learned from this consult is we help you get to a point where it's manageable. I hope that answers your question.
Yes. No, it absolutely does. It's like, you were looking for like, well, how are you going to help me? Right? Like, what is this thing that you're going to offer? Like, I need something. And that's so common. People are like, what I'm doing is not working. I don't exactly know why. Like, how can you help me figure that out? And I would say like, to me, that's the best question that people ask. It's always harder when they come to us and they're like, I want help with like this one specific thing. And I'm like, yeah, but that's not really your problem. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's not really going to help you. Like people who come into the consult and into the coaching relationship with, it's like, okay, you can be self-aware and have some ideas of what's going on. Of course, we're going to listen to you, but when you're open to letting your coach zoom out and look at the big picture and see what, see what is going on. But one thing I want to say is like, I think it was really great for you to highlight that, like when your coach is your coach, like they're your coach and not your friend. Like that's why I use teammate, coach, cheerleader, because those are like the roles that they play. But to be abundantly clear, the day you're done taking the bar exam, we're all best friends for life and you can't ever leave us ever. As long as people know what they're signing up for, like this isn't a casual relationship. Like it's a lifelong commitment to make
family. No, it's
family. Exactly.
Very, very beautiful organization of people that you just have for the rest. You get to say, I work, and even my co bar exam takers, you kind of develop this like interest in how are you doing? I remember some of my students like that I was studying with, her name was Marie. We went to college together, and it turns out she was taking the bar exam too. She hired Vinco as well, and we would study virtually at separate times together. We would take practice bar exams at the same time, over Zoom together, and it wasn't I think that Zoom. Or no, sorry. Vinco is like I think the one format of studying that this time what was ready for.
I keep saying like, I was using Zoom before it was cool. Like now everyone's like, oh, I'm on Slack and I'm on this. And I'm like, in 2014, when I was using all these things and I had to type up instructions for everyone on like, this is what Zoom is. This is what Slack does. And now I was ahead of the curve, Roxy. I was cool.
You were
but yeah. And so when I do the consults, I'm like reassuring people. I'm like, this is our business model. Like we've made no changes to what we're doing. Like this has always been how it is virtual. And I'm really glad that you highlighted community, because I mean, you know this, but people watching may not, which is that 99% of the people who work with Vinco are repeat takers. And so you don't have that same sense of community around studying for the bar exam anymore, because maybe a lot of your friends have passed and it's you and maybe one other person. And so being able to look at like 20, 30, 40 other people who are in your situation, I've heard is really helpful. And kind of like what you're saying, we make those connections because not everybody has someone like that. So I'm glad that you found that helpful. My constant struggle in this business is really like explaining how the coaching relationship works, because it is so different for every student, right? People have different experiences based on their own life, their own schedule, their relationship with their coach, all of that. And so can you walk through a little bit, like what were some of the specific things that you and Sydney did together, like an overview of your coaching relationship and experience?
So I don't want to speak down upon myself in any way, but I think I was what they considered a flight risk at certain times. I think all of us have our flight risk moments with the bar exam.
Like, facts. Yeah.
I quit. Like, why did I even bother? Sydney was, to me, I was scared because she believed in me sometimes more than I believed in myself. There were times that I would say, I cannot come to terms with the fact that I don't understand this. And she was just very honest with me. And she said, and I don't mean to I mean this with respect to anyone taking the bar exam. Don't lie to yourself. Like, are you actually going back and trying to comprehend why you got that question wrong? Are you actually going back and taking note of the fact that you're rushing or you're taking too much time, like certain things and I'm going on a tangent. The relationship that I had with her was, she was so focused on making sure that I was holding myself accountable and also giving myself time to breathe. Like, I don't think I studied at all on I didn't study on Sundays. I only studied Monday through Friday I would get to my desk like I would study Monday through Friday. Seriously, Saturday would be a review day. And Sunday I wouldn't study. And I remember when she said, you're not going to study on Sundays, that was the first time I thought, oh my gosh, I think this person has the wrong idea of me. I don't think they realize that I'm
Is it going to work? I can't do this. Yeah.
work. And she goes, no, on Sundays, you're going to do whatever makes you happy. You're going to watch movies. You're going to cook. You're going to like bake, whatever it takes to make you calm, you're going to do on Sundays. And I remember the first couple Sundays I wasn't studying. I was a mess because I thought, oh my gosh, I'm falling behind. I actually ended up focusing much harder on the days that I was studying than I would have been. I didn't understand that my brain, the way I, Roxy, operate, I needed a break. Like I needed that time to recoup, to be energized. It depends on your energy. It depends on you as a person. That's what I want everyone to understand. Like I am a creature of my own. We are all different, but I didn't understand. And Sydney saw that. My coach understood that when I couldn't, because I was so blinded by everything that was thrown at me.
I think that's really important. It's funny hearing this because like I knew Sydney when she was a student, and like I remember the first time Steve told her coach, you need to take a break, and she was all throwing a fit about it. So it's so fun watching students become coaches and be like, oh, now you want to give that advice. Oh, now you think that's good advice, which I think is what's so valuable and why we mostly hire from our student base is because that's so valuable to understand the transformation. But what I'm hearing from you, which I want to highlight for people, thinking about doing this, is that what sounds like it was valuable to you is like your coach's ability to read your situation, right? Like not everyone gets Sundays off, right? It depends on your work schedule. It depends on your energy levels. It depends on your ability to focus at certain times of the day. Like there's so many things that go into it, but that you were really appreciative of your coach kind of like having that big picture and then like holding you to it, even though it wasn't maybe entirely comfortable at first.
No, exactly. And I remember there was like moments where I was like, I was frustrated. I was like, why do I have to do, like, why can't I do what I think works for me? And that's, that's probably why you failed, because you weren't doing things you had. Like the purpose of hiring a tutor is to get you outside of your comfort zone. But yeah, no, towards the end, realized, and I studied at Fordham Law School Library with my classmates. And I remember you get that side chatter of people that are like, oh, you're taking a day off, you should be careful. And I remember I understand now that violence isn't the answer. You don't ever, but I wanted to smack them because it was just like, how dare you have like the impression that the way you're studying is any what better than the way I'm studying. But I let it get to me at times. And then I would text Sydney, like, I have this, I'm getting this like side chatter from co-students. And she said, oh, I'm surprised it took you this long into the process. You're going to get that regardless. That's the other thing that I hope I'm not being disrespectful. We're all law students. We're some of the most competitive people that have been born into this world. Like you're up against, and also there's only a certain % pass rate. Of course, people are going to subconsciously like mess with you. But I found that Vinco, there's none of that at all.
Well, that's why we like to be like, oh, you want an accountability partner? Like we'll match you with someone who's part of our program, because like everyone in terms of like strategy and all of that, it's being customized, but we're all working from the same pool of resources, right? So in terms of like keeping our students from going, off the deep end, they're all getting that advice to like not listen to what other people are saying. Like don't ask if you have an accountability partner, like don't compare your schedules because you're getting different advice. Like it's your schedule is good, their schedule is good, they're different. And I'm like, if you sign up for a custom plan, you can't be mad that it's not the same as somebody else. Like if you wanted a plan that was being given to everyone, go sign up for a regular bar prep company, because that's what they do. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not hating on that, but that's literally not what we do. That's not what we do here. So I think that's really important advice to remember. I want you to give people a little bit of an idea of like what your life looked like when you were studying. So like the conditions, because people have a lot of ideas about how they can't pass the bar exam if they're working, or if they have this thing going on in their life or that thing going on in their life. So what was going on in your life during bar prep?
Sorry, I'm just smiling because literally the first thing that popped into my head was, so many Oreos. I ate so many Oreos.
In whatever it takes,
Like
really.
it was my thing. I would just like every time I would just sleeves. Like anyway, Oreos were like my very, very great friend of mine during the bar. My days, I said to myself, I'm not taking this bar exam ever again. I made that like red font in my brain. I I'm going to be honest with I'm not making this up when I like disclaimer, this is not made up. This is actually something I did. Someone who's obsessed with social media, obsessed with every like animal account. I would get to the law library at 8 a.m. I would sit for like 15 minutes in the lobby with my phone, go through my texts, go through Instagram just to like get it out of my system, put my phone in my locker, in the locker room, and physically carry everything, like every MPT, every practice exam, every supplement I used up to the library, leaving my cell phone in my locker, making sure I had a like at least two snacks, an apple or a banana, granola bar, like no excuse to physically leave from the moment I start the clock at 9 to 12:30, or like at 12. It was usually 12:30, because to me, this was non-negotiable. Like every minute from the moment you find out, like you decide to start studying until the moment you say, okay, I'm done. I'm going to take the 2 days before the bar to let my brain regenerate brain cells. It's almost like when you look at it from a science, it's so valuable every minute of every day. And it's not even, I'm going like above and beyond. I need to make this clear. It will be here. It was before me, before I even blinked. So your cell phone will be there. Your friends will be there. Your family will be there. No one's going anywhere. And the right people will make sure they're calling you during your breaks, and your friendships will actually, I feel like, are stronger than ever with some people. And then I would have my lunch packed Monday through Thursday. And typically on Friday, I would treat myself to something, like whatever I was in the mood for, at the library.
It's very important during bar prep. Like little built-in rewards are necessary, particularly if you're studying at this time when there's not a lot of fun to be had. Creating it for yourself is important.
I forgoed, I think that's the right word. I allowed myself to just be with like the material. I exercised, but not as frequently as I used to, because that's something that had to give. Like if I wanted to, my commute to the Fordham Library from Jersey City at the time was about an hour. Some people study at home. Some people study locally. I didn't have that extra hour there and back so again, everyone's life is different.
Yeah.
So I didn't go. I remember I would walk for 45 minutes sometimes, like after scarfing my lunch down, or I would walk to a bench with my boyfriend and eat my lunch, who, by the way, it's like nice to have your significant other like join you sometimes when you're studying, even if they're in a different room. I don't know it's not like you don't have to do it by yourself. It's okay to bring a friend to the library. That's another thing that I found, like, don't isolate yourself, especially in today's times. I know it's hard now, but make sure that you like socialize. You have to socialize to some degree.
Now, honestly, it could even be, I think people are thinking about this more, but like it could just be a Zoom session with someone where like you're not even talking. You're like, I'm going to do these, you want to do these like same 15 multiple choice questions together and then review them.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Or like, here's what I have set for the next hour, accountability situation. And then it's like just not so lonely. Like I do that now for just like work because I'm here by myself all the time. So I think that's really important. And so like I'm hearing themes of like structure, like, whether, and this can happen whether you're working, whether you're married with kids, whether you have other responsibilities. Like structure is important. We have models for success at Vinco for people with all kinds of things going on in their life. So you do not need to be studying full time in order to pass the bar exam. Like structure, putting up boundaries is something I'm hearing from you.
Mm-hmm.
Getting out of your own way with like the excuses of like the phone and the snacks and all of that, like being prepared, so important.
There's an app on every computer. I believe it's called Self-Control. I've discovered this in college. If you can create like a time block of time with all of these website domains, like you just find yourself randomly thinking like, oh, let me just see if let me add that to my Amazon basket. And then you're on Amazon, you lose like 15 to 20 minutes just because you start mindlessly scrolling. Again, if you can't, I couldn't control myself. I had to download this app on my computer that would prevent me from even going on these like extra websites outside
Yep.
of my Vinco plan, because I couldn't control myself sometimes. And I'm a human being. I'll start to think like, oh, I saw this, like this pair of, like running sneakers that I thought about it. And then you just type it's like ultimate focus, no distractions. So that was a huge shift in my study plan. Like 9 to 5 every single day. I would have a very serious sleep schedule. Like I was so serious about sleep and hydrating, which sounds so weird, but like water and sleep, I made sure to have those both.
We're
Like
just like, what's the saying? It's like humans are just like complicated plants with emotions. Like we need water, we need sunlight, we need rest. Like all of these things are important. You said something else before that I had wanted to mention when you were talking about your schedule that I was like, oh, that's so important. And now it's
I would lock my phone away in my locker. I would make sure to have my lunch packed. I would make sure that I didn't make don't make friends with anybody like in the library that
don't
you
make
don't know already.
friends. Don't make me friends during bar prep.
Don't make friends during bar prep. Act like you like really like you would get in trouble if you had to. Like I had one friend who was from my class. His name was Shuji, and we studied. I think once a week we would get a room and just throw ideas at each other and just like sing again like this. You can do this over Zoom. Like find out how you study, which that's what Vinco does. You take a test. I forget the name of the test.
Oh yeah, we give a learning styles like quiz to start to get people thinking about like different ways to learn.
Mm-hmm.
The VAR test, yeah.
And I found out that I'm your only first student of all time that's entirely right-brained or something.
Yeah, you had like off the chart scores on like one side. That was like insane. Yeah.
No, I learned through colors, through visuals, through movement, through sound. These are things that I have been able to bestow on my friends who I finished my clerkship, and a couple of my colleagues failed the bar. And I stressed that to them. I said, you may not know that you learn differently. And there's, like some people don't want to hear it, but.
Well, it takes an open mind. And I think that's something that you were really good at, right? Which was that, we say some crazy things like record yourself and listen to the recording back, right? Like these are not things that you learned in law school to do or like that other bar prep companies have told you to do. Like we don't have any secrets here. We just like utilize creative skills. But like people won't do that because they're like, because it's out of the comfort zone. And that's something that you've been emphasizing, is that is pushing out of your comfort zone. And so I think that was like where you really started to flourish. Yeah. I know what I was gonna say is that Roxy was also a student who took advantage of like all of Vinco, right? And so it's like you can theoretically sign up for Vinco and see your coach, once a week or however many sessions you sign up for, get your essays graded and go on with your life. Like that's like basically the bare minimum of what you're signing up for. But we have the group calls, we have the Slack channels, we have, all of this other things. And the students who get more like plugged into that community and utilize the resources, like do the extra with the group calls, ask questions there. They get the benefit of all the coaches and the advice of all the coaches, not just their coach, right? Which is part of why I would sign up with a Vinco, right? Because when you're with another company, you get assigned to your tutor, which is usually just reviewing law with you anyway. But here we really do work as a team. If a coach is like, I don't know the answer to this question, then they can ask me, they can ask Steve, they can ask Steph, they can ask Sydney. Like we have that benefit. And I think you really benefited from that personally.
I honestly have never felt more comfortable sharing how unstable I was with typically you don't want to tell people, I feel I'm having hi strangers who I've never met. Is anyone else randomly crying every day? And, lo and behold, multiple people are. And that was not just like get joy out of other people's like.
No, but there
trauma.
is like a comfort and a shared experience, right? Like there's nothing worse than feeling like you're the only one having this like shitty situation. And it's like, no, you're not wishing that on them, but understanding that like my struggle is not entirely unique. And if my coach went through this and they passed, I can do it. And like, hey, I'm looking at this other person who I know they can do it, but they're feeling the same way I am. So like maybe I can do it too then. Like I think that's a really important framework to have. So I have one more question. And this is always the hardest question I ask everyone. But if you could give only one piece of advice to someone studying for the bar exam, like your top piece of advice, if they only hear this is the most important thing, what would you tell them?
I thought hard about this one. And I am going to tell them, don't lie to yourself. And if I could elaborate, it would be,
granted.
Don't lie to yourself, because I think the most pain any human can do are the lies that like any human can cause are the lies they tell themselves. Because by lying to yourself, you're just inhibiting yourself from excelling, and actually like surrendering to the fact that you don't understand certain things. Like you actually aren't studying as hard as you think you are. Like don't and do not like for a second like think that this is me like saying, oh, like you're not doing enough. Like you're here because you failed. Like come to terms with that, accept that is a fact, and then allow like the like fact to guide you to that you don't want to, like you're here for the reason of passing. And I struggled the first 2 times. I lied to myself. I'm saying this from experience. I lied to myself. I kept saying, I don't know why I failed. I don't know why I failed. I failed because I didn't study the right way. I failed because I missed major components of the exam. That's why people fail. And also understanding that certain aspects of it are out of our control. Like you're having an exam graded half of it by someone who is grading half part-time. Like you have to make it as concise and clear as possible for this person who's looking at your exam for maybe 6 minutes. Like,
yeah, that's a fun trivia fact that we have around here is how quick they grade the essays. But I think, and I want to like pull this piece out in particular for people, is that there is this fine line between like honesty and beating yourself up, right? Which is like, we don't recommend that, right? We don't, because
don't beat yourself up.
People come to us in 2 categories for the most part. The like, those who with the self-flogging, like I'm the worst, I'm a garbage person, I did everything wrong, I can never pass the bar exam, there's no helping me, but I'm gonna pay you money and hope that you can help me. Like there's that. And then there's the like, I don't know why I'm failing the bar exam, but like this is my last chance, so like I'm gonna hire you. I'm oversimplifying, we love our students, yeah. But that is like there's some people tend more towards one of those mentalities than the other. Mm-hmm. And I think neither one of them is helpful. Like you need to find that balance. And you said it so well, like just self-honesty. Like we all know when we've done our best, right? Mm-hmm. Best isn't perfect, but we've all known when, like, I know when I'm going to bed at night, if like it was a good day of work, mm-hmm. like if I was in the group, if I was focused. And I know if it was a day where I watched Harry Potter all afternoon, like I know that, right? Like I can, like, that's a knowable thing. And I think that's important to like recognize both ways. Like, am I really like bullshitting and could I really be doing more? Or was it a good day? Like, it's okay to say, I'm done for today. Like I did enough. I remember double now what I was going to say before. Earlier, please hold everyone, backtracking for a second. You talked about having how every minute counts when you're studying for the bar exam. And I wanted to talk about for a second how you were saying about rest though and taking breaks, and that I agree with you 100% that you have one block of time when you're studying for the bar exam, and how you spend that time matters, but that some people mistake that for thinking that that means they just need to be studying 24/7. And I think if people remember back to a few minutes ago in that part of the conversation, you were really doing a good job of emphasizing that like part of that is being really productive when it's time to be productive, because you need to take the breaks and let it all sink in.
Your breaks are your breaks. Like your breaks are there for mindless scrolling. That time isn't going anywhere. Like it's an outline. You're going to, if you have, if you hire Vinco, you'll see you have a very minute to minute outline calendar. And if you deviate from that, the reality is it's going to fall into the next day. So that's why I say that like every minute counts, because if you don't take advantage of every minute, then you're just going to screw yourself for the times that you're supposed to be relaxing and letting your brain marinate and actually comprehend the material that you spent 3 hours studying. And I remember, like, this is something else I want to bring home is I would get to my desk and I would listen to a meditation for 10 to 15 minutes before I started my workday. And then after, like, I would do 3-hour blocks, and they were hard. I'm going to say like that. This is like me saying those were hard like focusing for 3 hours is hard. And then I would enjoy the 30 minutes of mindless. Like, I remember I would like allow myself to like, I don't remember vividly, but I just remember that the times that I took breaks were very, very important and well-deserved. And I didn't feel guilty when I was on the train ride home.
That, right? Like that right there is how you know that the time you spent leading up to that break, that you did it right, is if you're able to take that time and feel like, you know what, like I did those questions, I reviewed those answers, and now it's time to look at cute animals on Instagram. Like that is valid.
So I read the entire Harry Potter series again when retaking the bar. And I highly recommend to anybody who enjoys to reading like mindless books on the side rather than only like devouring television. I'm again, not trying to self-deprecate. Reading comprehension is not my strong suit. Understanding that I was reading, even though it was not bar material, I was reading Harry Potter. I was actually helping myself study for the bar because it's just maintaining my reading. Like your reading in it of itself is just, I really do think Harry Potter is why I passed the bar. And you?
I mean, that's fair. We can just chalk it up to that. That actually feels like the perfect place to end this discussion. So basically don't hire Vinco and just watch Harry Potter and you'll be fine.
Yeah, and exactly. And I wore my Gryffindor sweatshirt to the bar.
I always tell that story that I got really superstitious around when I took the bar exam, which I'm not a superstitious person at all, but I took the bar back when New York and New Jersey were separate exams. So I had 3 days of the bar exam instead of 2 days of the bar exam. And I randomly got really superstitious and wore this same shirt and same pair of pants all 3 days. Like I took a shower, changed my underwear, like I wasn't gross, but I insisted on wearing the same shirt and same pair of pants. I don't know. Listen, and like, you know what? I wasn't hurting anyone. So what's said is done. I want to thank you so much again for taking the time to hang out with us. And yes, everyone, we did coordinate our green shirts today for holidays. So I will let you get on with your day, and I will see the rest of you tomorrow.
Okay. Bye.
We are so grateful to Roxy for taking some time out of her day to chat with us. She had a lot of really amazing advice, and I hope that you found it helpful. We will be back tomorrow with another Vlogmas video, but in the meantime, you can find more info about Vinco at vincoprep.com. Or you can schedule a free bar exam consult with me by emailing Sheena at info@vincoprep.com and she will get it set up. So have a good one. There he is. Please, let's see.
And then it's not tuned either, but I'm a bad ukulele player. But could you hear the beginning a little?
Yeah. Great.
Oh, I forget the last 2 chords. I need my notes in front of me.
Well, I mean, it's not every day on Vlogmas that we have a ukulele to go. If anyone's wondering what's happening here, this all started from a conversation about Lilo and Stitch, and now we have a ukulele and are playing Christmas songs. So there we go.
This was one of the things that I actually found time to do after I finished studying for the bar exam. So there's a world out there, people, that you can just do whatever you want after you pass.